Okay, today we're going to talk about solving equations with fractional coefficients. There really are no notes on how to do this because it's the same as a regular linear equation, the only difference being that now we have fractions, so kids usually look at the question and say, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. Make sure that you have your calculator open because if you use your calculator, it will be much easier. If we look at the first one, it says x plus 1/7 equals negative 20 over 7. So in order to get x by itself, the first thing that we're going to do is minus 1/7 from both sides. Now, if you have a calculator, you can type in your calculator negative 20 divided by 7 minus, and then in a new set of parentheses, 1 divided by 7. If you do that correctly, you will get negative 3. If we look at number 3, I'm going to go down the column because it's easier for me to navigate it on this program. So if I look at number 3, I see two equal fractions. So the first thing that I'm going to do, since the b, the variable, is there, I'm going to cross multiply. So 12b times 721, again, take out your calculator, you get 8652b equals, and then if I cross multiply the other way, 834 times 103 is 85902. In order to get the b by itself, which is right here, I'm going to divide by the number in front. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8652. If you type that in your calculator, you should get some sort of a decimal. But since we are talking about fractions, hit Math, hit Enter, Enter, and that becomes 139 over 14. That is my value for b. If I look at number 5, easiest way to do that, since the b is here after the fraction, I would recommend just rewriting it up top. And again, then we're going to cross multiply. So 12b times 26 is 312b. If I go the other way, 13 times 21 is 273. Again, I want the b by itself, so I have to get rid of that 312, so I'm going to divide both sides by 312, and I end up with a decimal. Again, if I hit Math, Enter, Enter on the graphing calculator, or arrow fraction on a cheaper scientific calculator, I should get 7/8. Next one. Again, don't get overwhelmed by what it looks like. It's really not that bad, especially if you have a calculator. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, in this case, I'm going to distribute this. So in your calculator, you need parentheses, and you're going to do 11/3 times -6. That will give you negative 22p. Then leave the fraction in parentheses, so you're going to do 11/3 times, and then in a new set of parentheses, -6/5. If you get a decimal, change it to a fraction. You're going to get negative 22 over 5. We're going to copy down the rest of the problem, negative 1351 over 15. Now, I would suggest that we move the 6, and I'm going to get negative 1441 over 15 equals, copy down the other things that you are left with on the right side. Now, to get the p by itself, I'm going to add 22 over 5. I'm going to add 22 over 5. Again, when I'm adding fractions in my calculator, it's a good idea to make sure that these are in parentheses and these are in parentheses. If I add that properly, I'm going to get negative 275 over 3. And then my last step, because I want the p by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 22. Again, when I divide that, I want to make sure that this is in parentheses in the calculator. and I will get that P is equal to 25/6 as my final answer. One quick note, you could have at this line here first combined these two and then moved it over to the other side. It's your choice. Okay, if I look, and again, we're going down the second column of this ditto. First thing here, I want to solve for K. So that means I need to get rid of this 21/11ths. So I'm going to add 21/11ths. If I'm using my calculator, it's very important. Do negative 19 divided by 33 in parentheses, plus, then a new set of parentheses, 21/11. You should get K equals, you should get 1.33333. Hit math, enter, enter, and we want 4/3. The reason we want it in fraction form is because whenever we are given a question with fractions, we want the answer in fractions. If the question is given in decimals, we want the answers in decimals. If I look at number 4, again, I want the n by itself. So I'm going to add 1, add 1. So if I'm doing this on my calculator, I'm going to do negative 19 divided by 8 in parentheses plus 1. If you get a decimal, hit math, enter, enter. Or if you're using a scientific calculator, hit arrow fraction, F-R-A-C. You should get n equals negative 11/8. If we look at number 6, again, the first thing that maybe we want to do is combine like terms. Here's a whole number and here's a whole number. In the calculator, do 1 minus parentheses 4 divided by 5. Then I'm left with negative 13/6n plus 1 divided by 5, 1/5 equals negative 191/20. Again, to get the n by itself, I'm going to move this number, so minus 1/5, minus 1/5. If I'm doing this in the calculator, which I'm sure most of you are, parentheses, negative 191/20 minus parentheses 1 divided by 5. You should get negative 13/6n equals, if we do that in the calculator, we get negative 39/4. Again, to get rid of this fraction here with the n, we're going to divide both sides by negative 13/6. I'm going to put it in parentheses. We're dividing by negative 13/6. Very important when you're working with fractions and you're working with the calculator, you need to lock it in parentheses. Again, if I end up with 4.5, I want to hit math, enter, enter, and we should get 9/2. Last question here, number 8. Again, it looks nasty. It's not that bad, especially when you're using a calculator. So the first thing, I would put a 1 here. In your calculator, do negative 1/2 in parentheses minus 1, because I'm going to combine the x's on the left. That's going to give me negative 3/2x. On the right, I'm going to leave the 1057/96, but I am going to combine these two because they're both x's. I'm going to put this in parentheses, and I'm going to put this in parentheses. So 25 divided by 8 plus, new parentheses, 5 divided by 3. Hit math, enter, enter when you get some crazy decimal, and you're going to get 115/24. Don't forget the x. Now, in order to solve, what I'm going to do next is move the x's to one side. So I'm going to minus 115/24x minus 115/24x. In your calculator, do negative 3/2 minus 115/24 in parentheses. You should end up with negative 151/24x equals 1057/96. And again, because I want to get the x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 151 over 24, divided by negative 151 over 24. Again, since we're using our calculators, we want to lock both of them in parentheses. So you're going to do parentheses 1057 over 96, close them, then hit divided by, new parentheses, negative 151 over 24, close those parentheses. When you get your decimal, hit math, enter, enter, and you will get x equals negative 7 over 4. If you have any questions, please email me or ask me next time you see me.